Welcome to this practice. I was a little bit inspired by the limited space in this Airbnb. Now, I know I could have done a seated practice, but I wanted to try something where I could still feel expansive and I could still really stretch out my limbs while working with limited space. You're welcome to not use a mat and just move around in the space that you exist in. But we'll start standing up. And just find a space where you feel comfortable. You might have your feet together, you might have your feet apart. I feel more stable with the feet about hip width personally and directed forward. Notice where the weight sits in your feet. Maybe even rock forward and back or side to side, whatever it is that you're drawn to, just to let yourself find the space where you feel most comfortable and stable. And then going up from the feet, and direct your awareness to your shins and your knees. Notice if you have the tendency to lock the knees out. I certainly do, so maybe you can introduce some softness here. But from that softness, I'm not inviting you to completely sit and slope into your standing posture, but rather just find a little unlocking motion in the knees so that you still have to continue supporting yourself, adjusting on microscopic levels, moving up from the knees through your thighs. I invite you to bring the same awareness to your hip joint. Notice if you are tilting your pelvis forward or tilting it back and kind of locking out in a position. Maybe it's a habit. And moving up from the pelvis through the spine. And again, I invite you to just notice your natural habits. Do you tend to thrust your ribs forward? Do you tend to slope your shoulders forward? It can be more than one tendency. Do you tend to kind of sit into one hip more than the other? And in this awareness, you might even close your eyes so you can feel it through your body. You might be noticing some things for the first time in a while. Can you feel a sense of drawing up from the earth through all of the spaces that we became aware of, from the feet, through the knees, through the hips, through the spine, all the way up through the crown of your head. And then notice in the other direction, can you broaden your shoulders? Can you find a comfortable position for your arms and hands? Maybe just resting them by the sides, maybe resting them by the heart. Find your version of mountain pose. And you're welcome to keep your eyes open, your gaze relaxed. Maybe it'll be easier to balance that way. Or maybe closing the eyes can kind of direct that awareness within yourself. And let's all take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, see if you can draw your shoulders down, soften the fingertips, soften your facial features, your jaw. And again, take a deeper breath. And exhale. One more time, breathe in. And breathe out. Now from your standing position, let's take the chin down to our chest. And pause here, notice the weight of your head as it turns down. Notice if your shoulders are naturally drawn forward as well. And see if you can take it a touch further. Maybe softening the shoulders forward, maybe bending the knees a little bit more. And again, just take a pause, this kind of zombie stance. And moving through the crown of your head, can you go a little further down? Let your arms hang heavy if they were by your heart. And pause again. Notice the roundness of your spine. Notice the balance in your feet. Can you take another lowering motion? Maybe taking the hips further back.
Can you go all the way down or nearly all the way down? Feel free to break it up a bit more. Maybe your belly is resting on the thighs, maybe your hips are taken back. And take a couple of breaths in this really soft forward bend. We'll go up the same way we came, slowly rolling up through the spine, coming all the way up, no rush. Coming up into standing this time. Let's take a breath with a big circle through the arms. And again, work with the space that you've got. If you don't have a circle, you can go arms through the front. On the exhale, take your hands over to your heart. And again, a big inhale, maybe reaching up a little bit more. Exhale, hands to heart center. And this time, inhale, reach up, maybe lift onto your tiptoes or just shift the weight forward more into the balls of your feet. And exhale, lower your heels, lower your hands down. Interlace your fingers here and then take your wrists for a figure of 8. Imagine that you're in a room full of honey, there's some resistance here. So can you feel your hands, your wrists turning? And then imagine through that thick air as you reverse position, your hands resisting again, moving slowly through. Keeping the hands locked, can you move your lock over to your right, then up and behind your head, bend your elbows and bring it back through the left and to your center. And then pass it over the other way through your left ear behind and through your right. Now make it a little bit more exaggerated. Feel free to use your shoulders, your spine, bending, arching, rounding, coming back, and then take it in the opposite direction. Let's take it one more time. Maybe make it even more exaggerated, maybe bending one knee and then the other, and then take it the other way around. Find your space. Interlace the fingers. Now turning the palms up, stretch up. Arch your back a little bit. On the exhale, arms forward, soften the knees, move forward. Let me turn around so you can see what it looks like. On the inhale, opening up. Feel free to stick your bum out. Exhale, hug your ribs, take your arms back, maybe soften the knees a little bit more. Like standing cat-cows, finding some articulation of the spine to an extent that feels good. Working or playing with your breath. If adding the breaths in a traditional cat-cow fashion doesn't work, feel free to edit that. And let's do that one more time. Inhale. Exhale, reach the arms forward and then sit a little lower into your heels. Keep tucking the tailbone, so coming from a rounded back, and then just roll the shoulders back so you're more neutral in your shoulders. Feel free to keep the lock or separate the hands, reaching forward, coming into a version of your chair pose. Notice where you're happy to sit today. Maybe going a little bit lower or a little bit higher. Don't let your spine arch. See if you can find a smooth, beautiful line. And then using your arms, take yourself up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Take a moment again. Let your head hang, maybe belly on the thighs. Maybe grabbing the opposite elbows and just taking a little roll through your ragdoll. Maybe just shaking your head if that feels more appropriate. And take it back to center. Release your arms. Slowly roll all the way up. And take your shoulders all the way back. Reach up through your crown. Now I've only turned around to show you what I'm doing. So if you're working with the mat, you may want to come to one end of it, so there's space behind you to step back. Similarly, if you're working with space, just leave some space behind, leave some space around. We're going to work in quite a narrow line. Standing on your left leg, let's just take weight into it. You can do whatever you want with your hands. They can be on the hips like I'm doing now, they can be by your heart, they can be free. And see if you can gradually lift your right knee up and then flex and point your right foot. Soften your standing leg. It's always easier to balance when that knee is a little soft. There's a bit of give to it. Nicely done. And then see if you can step back far away. Keep your right knee soft. And then try and find a space where you can rest with your left knee about over the ankle. With the pelvis fairly neutral, feel free to find that hug of the ribs. And then maybe softening the knee all the way down if you need to. Now let's add the arms. Without arching your back, can we reach the arms up? On the exhale, can we lean forward? Reach the arms about 45 degrees diagonally. Inhale and come up. Now if you are working with the knee lifted, you might find that the leg straightens when you lean forward. If you're working with the knee down, you might find that it's just your pelvis that adjusts position. So work with this movement, trying to find a shoulder opening that kind of stays the same from the waist up, moving almost as a singular unit. And let's pause at the top. After a couple of breaths, take your hands back down to your foot and then step up, finding your standing forward. Bend again, soften your knees. And roll up through the spine, gaining height again, finding a mountain. And find base for your hands, maybe on your hips, maybe by your heart. Start transferring the weight into your right foot. So we're gradually lifting our left knee. It doesn't have to be hip height, just so long as, oh, there we go, that caught me unaware. It's just so your left foot's got enough space to flex and point without touching the floor. And hey, you can always hold on to something if you need to. Nice. See if you can soften your right knee so you can step back. Soften the back knee so you can right your pelvis and maybe bring that knee all the way down. That feels more stable, of course, feel free to cushion it. Find your core engagement, reach your arms up. And engaging the core so that we're not tempted to open the shoulders or like fake open the shoulders by thrusting the ribs. And then we're playing with the torso position. Take an inhale with your arms up. Take an exhale to lean forward. Now again, because my knee's off the floor, it's more comfortable for me to push the heel back and then soften the knee back when I lift up. And have a little play. What does that feel like in your body? Let's pause with the arms by the ears, torso reaching up, couple of breaths. If your knee's off the floor, you might be shaking. And on the exhale, let's place the hands down. Let them be our anchor as our left foot steps up, knees soft. take a roll up through the spine again. Find your mountain pose. Find your base. Beautiful. Now from your mountain pose, let's shift our base. So feel free to step off if you need a different direction. So wave your arms around. Find your stability, find your soft knees. Take the arms up, and this time grabbing onto your right wrist, take your torso to the left. Notice if your hips kind of trend rightwards to create a curve. Notice if you're turning down towards the floor and see if you can resist that a little bit, maybe even lifting the gaze. So stretching all through the right side of the body, side body, maybe side of the hip, maybe even bend in the left knee to find a good juicy stretch. But of course we also want to stay fairly in balance. We don't want to fall and hurt ourselves. Let's take an inhale, switch sides. Grab onto your left wrist and lean over to the right. Now I kind of automatically went into that hip thrust bent knee, but feel free to just do the stretch of the side with the legs planted firmly without thrusting the hip. Maybe twisting a little bit more towards the sky, maybe resting your head on your arm, so see what works. I want you to be a little bit off balance, and I want you to feel that openness through the side. Let's take an inhale and rise up. And exhale, release your arms down. And again, if you're working with a mat, you might step over to the top of the mat so that there's space behind you to step back. And gradually transfer the weight into your left foot. And then soften the knees, step your right foot back. Feel free to stay with the knee up or lower the knee, cushion the knee, whatever you need to do. If you're lowered down, you might also play with the position of the foot itself on the back leg. And if you're here, you might really tap into your balance. Now let's hug the ribs and the hip bones close together so we're not thrusting them forward. Reach the arms up again and then grab your right wrist again. Same movement as before. We are leaning over to the left. We are opening the armpit, we are opening the ribs, but we're not arching them forward at the same time. We're kind of staying in that same plane as if you are pressed between two panes of glass just in your torso. And maybe we even twist a little bit more, have a peek from under your right arm. Now if that knocks you off balance, you might just grab onto something right in front of you, something in the room that keeps you focused through your gaze. Beautiful. Let's rise up. Bring your hands forward on the exhale and step up. Soften. Maybe give yourself a shake. Your head, your hips, your upper body. And then take a roll up through the spine. Let's try this with the other leg and the other side bend. So stepping onto our right foot, knee soft, step back with your left. The distance is up to you and you can keep the knee off the floor. I would advise having a bit of softness so your pelvis stays vertical and you can keep the body upright, or you can lower the knee altogether. Alright, so I'll do knee down on this side so you can see. So let's reach our arms up, not compensating with our ribs. Grab onto the left wrist and then take your upper body over to the right. And same as standing in our mountain pose, we're shifting the weight, but we don't have to shift it so far that we lose control. And you might rest your head on your arm, or you might twist a little bit, looking up from under the arm, or twisting the chest more towards the ceiling. Then you do up. Squeeze your thighs in towards the center point, whether your knee is up or down. And take it back up. On the exhale, hands to the floor so you can step up. And roll all the way up. Find your mountain pose, maybe shake it all off. Now find a little bit of hip rotation. So again, we're finding balance, pressing the weight into the left foot first. Knee nice and soft, spread the weight through your toes and lift your right knee. Again, it doesn't have to be hip level, it can be any kind of height. Try to keep your pelvis level so we're not hiking up through the right hip just because the leg is lifted. And then see if you can open it out to the side as though it's a door or a gate, and then pop it back in. All while trying to maintain your balance. So again, a good idea to latch onto something with your gaze. And let's do that a couple of times so you can feel the rotation with the knee bent. Almost like a little trial run before we put it into practice into our more classic standing poses like the lunge. And then let's switch sides. Feel free to shake off in between. Pressing the weight into the right foot, left knee lifted, and then moving from the hip joint without lifting the left side of the pelvis. And don't worry about opening the knee to look directly out to the side. It doesn't have to be a 90-degree turn. Though if your body's happy to do that, you're welcome to. But don't put pressure on it. As long as you can feel your body engaging. And again, your arms can do whatever. I'm keeping my mind on my pelvis, and it's also helping me stay stable. You can do it with your hands at your heart, or your arms out, or your arms up, or your hands to heart, or even reverse prayer. And then shake it off. Shake it off. Now, in case you haven't guessed, we're coming up to the proverbial front of the mat if you're using a mat, or not, just leaving some space behind. And then soften through the left knee, step your right foot back. And this time, turn your right foot out to the side, lower your heel, and turn your pelvis away. So instead of turning the hip out, we're actually turning away from the hip. And look, it's bent, but it doesn't have to be up at the hip level. You can do a really wide stance, warrior two, where you can step further back and do that 90-degree bend, but it can place a lot of strain here, or your lower back. You might feel like you need to arch or thrust your ribs or turn to the front, to the side. So find a space where you can feel the effort, but you also feel stable and nice and broad. And again, have a little fun with your hands, right? If you want to keep them on your hips, you can do. Maybe you can feel your sit bones kind of directing down. Notice if you're buckling in one side and kind of level it out. You can also go for a classic warrior two, arms out, gaze to the middle finger of the front hand, trying not to drop the other one, or maybe dropping and lifting them both, or maybe lifting and dropping them both, right? Have a little fun. And the next time you practice this, maybe you add a little side bend, grabbing a left wrist, turning to the right, lifting back out. Maybe arms up, leaning forward, leaning back out, what we did with a lunge. So let's try out on the other side. You're welcome to step up and then switch legs, or you can just turn around, opening the right foot, turning the left leg, depending on whether you have a mat or not, and then bend the right knee. And again, you might feel different, right? We're turning the pelvis away from the hip, but the effort stays the same. But you might have a wider stance on one foot and a narrower stance on the other. You might have a different stance, so your feet are like on rail tracks or heel in line with the other heel. You might use your hands to find the position of your pelvis, stop the knee from buckling in, and then have a bit of fun with your hands and arms. Just make sure you breathe through it. I just invite you to be playful, to explore what you can do, how you can challenge your balance while your legs and your feet and your hips stay stable. Now let's keep our legs nice and wide, but turn the toes in the same direction, and then turn the heels closer than the toes. Slowly bending the knees in the direction of the center line of your feet. And again, you don't have to go super deep into your squat. Just find a space where you can feel the opening. So the same rotation as we did standing up, but now both legs at the same time. And then find a little tuck of the pelvis. Maybe there's a slight lean of the torso. Notice what works best. Notice where your feet feel most stable. And you might rest your hands on your thighs, or your hips, or your heart, or your head, or you might take them out, or you might do a little side lean. Maybe grabbing the wrist, maybe leaning forward and back up, maybe going for our big cactus arms. So just focusing on having stability, and then challenging that stability by moving our upper body, maybe adding a little twist or just looking in different directions. So just take another couple of breaths to play. And then lift through the legs, bring the feet together. And let's finish the way we started in our mountain pose. Settle the feet to where they feel stable. From the feet, soften the knees. Find a space away from the path of least resistance, but still comfortable enough. Settling into the hips without buckling. Lengthening through the spine, lower the shoulders. Find a space for your hands and arms. And let's take 3 deep breaths. In and out. In and out. In and out. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Be sure to shake it off and feel free to play with this practice to your taste. Namaste.